Hello.
Oh. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Mateo. Hi, Janice. Everybody else.
This is Leslie here.
Hi, Leslie. This is
Good
Karen.
Hi,
Leslie.
Karen.
Hi, Leslie. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, great. It's good to talk to you.
I have trouble with the phone for the past month or 6 weeks now. I broke the kitchen phone and got a new phone, and I've had nothing but trouble. It happened just about the same time the town switched over to the new telephone thing.
Oh, boy. Must be
And
confusing.
I not only don't have it, but I don't have your phone number either.
I'll make sure to get it to you.
Yep. You want to give it to me now or another time?
Sure. It's 259-1973.
1873?
1973.
Oh, 19. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I don't call you too often, but once in a while I wish I had your number. Mary Lou there?
Nope, I don't think so.
Not yet.
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I guess we're waiting for Bert. Bert said he's gonna make it. Let's see.
How about Greg? Have we heard from Greg?
Did not hear from him. There's Bert. Okay. Okay, I think we've got that was it, 3 after. I had a bit of trouble getting on to this. Would not recognize the usual computer. I'm on another computer. That's a lesson for anybody who wants to host a meeting. Try another computer. Apparently it might work, as it did in my case.
Hi, Bert.
Hello,
Bert, letting that hair grow.
it grew already.
Can't get to a barber. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Anybody know if Greg is coming? He did not check in, I don't believe. Oh, look.
I count 3. Who's the other 2 on?
We actually have 7, including myself. Janice is here. Yes. Hi, Janice.
Janice, you want to give me a phone number too, please? I lost it somehow on the phone when I had changed the phone.
Okay, I think we have all of the participants for tonight. Greg did not check in to the call for the meeting, so I assume he's not coming unless anybody knows better. Anybody hear from Greg? Well, we should get started. So I got Karen to come to the meeting, but she did not get the documents. And of course, I haven't been able to get out of my driveway. But yeah, I guess my
Had
thought
the same
was,
problem.
yeah,
Had the same problem.
yeah. My thought was, we have a quorum without you. And so we can vote on the minutes and the various other things here. Perhaps we could give Karen an idea, just a summary of each of the items. Does that work for folks?
I just think that it's gonna take up a lot of our time. Maybe it would be better if we just get Karen copies of the minutes so she can read them over at her own time.
Okay,
One concern is that we need to approve the minutes for May 25th. And I think we may need Karen, I think Karen was at that meeting. And to have 4 members voting. It would be you, Janice, and Karen. I think we need Greg.
yeah.
Greg here.
Okay.
Greg, we need Greg to ever approve those minutes because otherwise we don't have a quorum.
Okay,
So maybe we could, do you want to reach out to him about that?
as in right now?
No, I mean, just.
Let him know. I'll let him know. I'll let
Just
him.
the next meeting, we
Yeah.
really, he's been kind of out of commission for a while. I don't know where he's at.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's at with being on the commission at this point.
right. Okay, we have minutes for another meeting, I believe. Let's see, what is that? So minutes for November 30th.
Oh, we got to do August 10th.
Okay, let's. Yeah, okay. There we go. Perhaps I can share this with everybody and hold on. Oh. All right. Everybody see the document? Everybody see the minutes for August 10th? Can you see it?
That's the November 30th minutes.
Oh, sorry.
No, this is August 10th. It says approved 11:30, but we
Oh, I see.
didn't,
I don't know, but oh yeah, that's right.
we didn't vote on it because we didn't have a quorum.
Right.
So I'll change that in my draft
Okay.
since I'll be submitting it.
Okay. You'll change it to today's date, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any thoughts on it? Discussion? I guess the historical signage for the town property is still on hold, right? We haven't really revisited that. Yeah, there it is. Greg was considering stepping down. That may have happened. He hasn't told us, but. Anyway, any thoughts on these minutes? I assume you had a chance to look at them. No comments? If not,
Has Karen had a chance to look at these? Because
no,
we
no.
need her vote.
We need her vote. Well, that's not gonna work then for.
Did
Let's,
I don't know if any Karen ever got a copy of it after the August meeting.
Karen?
No, I didn't get any,
Okay,
any,
we'll postpone voting on this. No quorum.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, we have, what happened to Janice? She keeps coming in and out of the meeting. Okay. Yeah, it looks like Janice is having problems.
well, while we're waiting for Janice, Janice, are you there?
Hello, Janice.
She's muted.
Janice? You're muted. Let's see. No, you're not.
Janice, did you hear what we said about the minutes for August 10th? Sounds like she's having some
Yeah.
difficulty.
I don't know what's going on. Can you hear us, Janice? Maybe she's having problems. She kept dropping out earlier.
loud noise,
I'm giving her a call.
NOISE.
She just dropped out again.
Hi,
Oh, there she is.
Trouble with the connections.
Yeah.
so Janice is having
Yeah.
a Zoom problem, but I have her on speakerphone.
Okay.
So Janice, what you missed was, you didn't approve the August minutes because Karen never reviewed them and we needed her to make a quorum.
Ah. Okay.
So, that's kind of an ongoing issue I think we need to address. Maybe after we consider the next minutes, maybe we could talk about that.
Okay.
So the next minutes would be November 30th.
Yeah, let me share that with y'all. Hold on a second.
I'm trying to get back in so I can see the screen again.
You probably have a copy of the minutes, though.
Yes, I do.
Could I ask for phone numbers, please? Janice,
Yes,
could I have your phone number?
sure. 413-259-8079.
8079.
Yep.
Yeah, I lost my things on the phone.
Oh,
Uh,
Okay, we all, we have a quorum to vote on these minutes.
Yes.
So, let's, just. If you haven't had a chance to look at them. We've had quorum issues in the past, I see. Oh.
Henry, I feel like everybody's been given a copy of these minutes and people should take responsibility for reviewing them.
Yeah,
So I don't think we need to read through all of them.
no, well, are there any comments? Need to change anything here?
Janice,
I was fine with it, except I think that there's a typo on Karen's last name. I don't think it's CZW. I think it's just CZER.
okay,
ER,
you're fine.
right?
You're right. It's CZR.
Let me look at my draft since I got,
CZER,
give
yeah.
me a second.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, guys,
Sure.
I probably should be I should probably screen share these because I'm the one who's got the draft. I've got too many documents open. So I had everything queued up. This one has to, just give me a sec. I've got,
Sure.
You have it right in most other places there. So, yeah, in fact, you have it right pretty much elsewhere.
CZ, oh, right, Zerwanka,
It's
this one place.
Let me back
just one
into the-
place.
So I can see again too.
Henry, she's in the waiting room.
Oh, let's see. Ooh. Where is the waiting room? You can see I haven't been using this for a while.
I know.
Do I have to get out of share to go to the waiting room?
Probably,
You think so?
Yeah.
That's clunky.
but I think we're done looking at the screen share, Henry. I think we can,
Your screen share probably defaulted to full screen, so it's filling the whole screen, which means
Yeah,
you
okay. All right, let me stop. There we go. And I don't, wait a minute, one person. Okay. No. Okay.
Miriam, did you send those November minutes out?
Yes.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the email.
Okay, Janice is trying again.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether to put my audio conference option as phone call or computer since I'm not calling. Am I called into the meeting now or should I?
I don't know, I can't see.
I don't know either.
You,
Yeah.
I can see you, I can see there. It's
Yeah,
there, and now you're here for sure.
Okay, so yes, now I can see you guys, so we'll go with this, I guess. I see. Okay.
Okay, so move to approve November 30th, 2022 minutes.
I'll second it, Janice.
Okay. All right.
and Karen will probably have to abstain.
yes.
Okay, let's go around then. Let's see. Defunct.
Aye,
Fernandez.
Yes,
Geddes, I. Tangalo
Aye.
and Stone.
Aye.
Okay. All right. And now. I believe the next up, at least in the sequence of documents, is the draft of the guide board, SHC guide board. Am I right? Let's look at
Yes,
that.
but I have an update. to
Okay.
information About this.
Should I share that with everybody?
No, not until I give the update, I think.
Okay, go right ahead.
They
Mary.
scrapped the whole scope.
Oh, okay. Tell us what's going on.
So I talked with Peter Ham today. And he went out and re-examined the structure with Mary Lou Davis. And they had a long discussion amongst themselves about what they believe in their professional opinion is possible with this structure. And it was discouraging.
Oh,
Because they are saying, Mary Lou more than Peter, but I think both of them are saying fairly emphatically, or at least she's saying emphatically, that she does not believe that this structure should be restored or tried to be rehabilitated because it's too fragile and the risk of damaging or destroying it is too great. And because it's a rare object of historic value, she is strongly recommending that we find a way to move it to a protected location. And if we want to have something on the town common, do a replication. And she's not willing to participate. And because Peter, his scope really depends on having a decorative painter. If she's not going to be involved and he feels like he could, pitch a restoration, he'd have to find another decorative painter, or the commission would have to find another decorative painter because that would not be his expertise. He does share some of the same concerns that, there are risks to doing the rehabilitation that we wished for because the structure is so fragile. Let me pull up my notes. While I'm talking to you, I can give you more details. If you give me one sec from my conversation with him. I have too many documents open. It doesn't help to have 10 documents open. Oh. Update. What is this? Oh, this is a CPC agenda. Don't need that, right? Okay. Now I think I've got Peter Ham's notes. So what he said is that, they don't want to risk damaging the structure. The paint is in such bad condition that in order to repair it or kind of,
Sure.
and I guess my understanding is you'd have to remove a lot of paint in order to get down to a level where some new paint would adhere to it. And because the paint is failing and the paint is delaminating from the wood. So just painting over the old paint is not going to hold up. And so the fear is that it would risk damaging the structure. They think a compelling argument could be made for why a replication would be valuable to the community, and they're going to write up their recommendations and send it to us, as well as giving us some perhaps suggestions for funding sources, because we discussed the CPC cannot fund a replica. They said that if we were to move it to another location, the best setting would be a non-conditioned space, an unheated space. So the old town hall would be a desirable space because the temperature doesn't get really high. They said ideally, you want it cold or at 50 degrees. And I mentioned that we had discussed that there's an interior door at the old town hall that was a barrier to getting it in. And he said he'd have to look at that, but sometimes it's possible to remove a door in order to get a structure into a building and then put the door back. So there might be a workaround for that. Or possibly there's a back door in the building. I don't know if that's a possibility. Or side door.
No.
Side door, isn't there?
Yeah,
Leslie,
but it's even narrower.
is it narrower? Leslie, you're muted.
You're muted, Leslie.
I'm sorry too. I think I was speaking when someone else was wanting to speak, so I won't. If someone has something to say, I'll just listen.
No, you're on, you're on.
Question
Okay.
was about the
The
door.
back door is likely not very possible because it goes up narrow steps, then around a corner, then into a narrow hallway. And that hallway then goes through a narrow door into the main room. I think the bigger question, though, would be, we don't have permission to just put, that would pretty much preclude using that building for something else. Even if it was decided that it could be, the door could be taken off the front. But it's worth asking, but I'm not sure that we just have the.
No, we don't have permission. No, I understand that we don't have permission. The question is what recommendations we want to make. So what I asked him to do was to write up his recommendations, and if he could possibly break it down in terms, if they were going to give us a quote, to break it down if there were components that might be eligible for CPC funds. For example, it was my understanding, and I'll defer to Matteo on this, that possibly an assessment or perhaps the expenses related to moving the structure might be coverable. Is that?
So, yeah, so I think that based off of what Stuart Saginar at the Community Preservation Coalition told me when I sent him the language of the original application and the agreement, the impression of the coalition was that the original application was to rehabilitate and restore the historic resource, which would not include sort of moving it to preserve it. I don't quite understand the distinction, but that was his guidance. But that said, a different application for CPA funding to move it to a different structure or even build another structure to protect it would be allowable under the CPA. Something like signage or building a replica would not be allowed. So the question is, does the existing grant from the CPC cover the kind of the paint examination work if that doesn't lead to rehabilitation? I have a generous reading and I would think that it would, because there's no way of knowing whether it would or not. I mean, I understand that her initial impression and looking at it just sort of on site is that it's not not recoverable, but I would want that documented, through laboratory tests, through a peer review process or something. And it seems to me that that's, and we've talked about this, that's kind of there it's implied in the language of the original CPA grant. But I think that as far as like moving it to town hall or the new library or the old library or wherever, that seems like it could be funded with CPA funds. It would just need to be another.
Need a new grant.
Yeah.
Okay, which we're not going to get in for this grant cycle. So the other option, if it turned out that, and we have yet to see what they're going to submit. So when I do get that, I will send it on to the commission. And the other possibility, if it's not eligible for CPC funds, or most of it is not eligible, and we have a proposal and the select board agrees to that proposal, because all of this is conditional on the select board approval. We do have our donation account. And, it's also possible that if word was circulated about our effort, that there might be people willing to donate to this effort. And so perhaps the Friends of the Shutesbury Historical Commission might be willing to either, advertise it, maybe on social media like next door or wherever to try to support public interest in it.
Miriam, would there be any advantage to getting another opinion?
Yes, and the problem had been that I talked with a lot of preservationists and many of them had said this isn't possible or it's going to cost $60,000.
Really?
So that seemed to be like not even willing, not even worthwhile pursuing that discussion. I can go back to my list and see if there's somebody else interested. But again, I am concerned, and I think a second opinion is a good idea if we can get one. I think when somebody said it was going to take $60,000, I think that was their way of saying this is very risky. And I think the select board would want a high degree of confidence in anything we propose.
Yeah.
And that's why, I was sorry that this didn't get discussed at the select board meeting, but I thought that what we wanted to ask the select board was if there was any possibility that the town would be interested in creating another location for this structure, perhaps at the new library site, maybe at an outdoor location or in a foyer, maybe under a gazebo of some sort. And it seems like that didn't get discussed. The idea of making it a museum exhibit, a public educational museum exhibit.
Was there, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I remember that there was some hope that this would be presented to the new library construction committee or building committee or what it's called. I don't know if, are they aware of it? Are they?
I don't know that they are, unless they were at that meeting and it didn't really kind of get discussed at that meeting. So I sort of feel like there was a very quick sort of dismissal of the idea of doing a replica, like, oh, that would be, why would we want to do a replica? And, and then somebody on the select board said, well, if it's been there for 180 years, why do we need a replica? And I think that was kind of a comment that didn't really capture the deterioration of this structure right now.
But perhaps all the more reason why it would be useful to have another opinion to confirm the fragility of the artifact,
Well, that's a good point. It may be difficult. I will certainly reach out to the contacts I had and go through my list and see if anybody is willing to give us an opinion about it. We might want to consider paying for an assessment. That would be another option, would be for us to, use some of the funds we have available to get somebody to examine it.
What do you think that would be, like $100 or $200, something like that?
Well, I think we'd have to pay for at least the travel time for somebody to come out, right? So yeah, I think at least a couple $100. And then to come to a meeting, might be $500. We could try to find, I could reach out and say, would somebody be willing to do it?
Is there somebody from Preservation Massachusetts that could look at it? I mean, I don't know if they don't do this kind of thing for municipalities.
No, they have a vendor list, Matteo. I went through that vendor list and made about 20 phone calls and talked to about 6 people. And then I went to a museum listserv and a restoration graduate program and went on their listserv. I did a lot, and I went on the historical preservation listserv. I did a lot of trying to find people. There was also another consultant that I had been talking to in Connecticut, and I have to check and he was interested, and he had a different decorative painter. I think that I did not pursue him partially because he thought it was going to be exorbitantly expensive. He might have said something like $30,000.
For an assessment or for the preservation?
For a restoration of it. Let me check and see whether I could get him to give us a second opinion.
There's also, I'm just poking around, but also there is a historic preservation program at UMass, right? In the Department of Architecture.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If there are faculty members there that could be tapped or.
I
Could
could
be.
check. I can check.
And the architecture program is in the art department, I believe. Is that, yeah,
I did check with a museum school that does restoration work, and they had a faculty list, and they blasted this over their faculty list. This is in the Boston area. So tried a few things. I can go back and try to find, what we could do is say we're gonna, try to get a second opinion, see what Peter Ham says. It's also possible that if we are able to find another decorative painter, that Peter Ham would be able to do this. He didn't say no to that. He just said that because he was relying on working with Mary Lou Davis, that if she wasn't available, he would be having it be at square one, and maybe it would be up to us to find a decorative painter. So I can reach out to the guy in Connecticut who had a decorative painter and see what if he's willing and able to give us more of a guidance. And I can also I can share what I can do is go back through my emails and maybe give you guys all a summary of who said what.
I do think that Henry is right, though. Like, if the feedback we end up getting from another expert is this needs to be moved to be preserved as opposed to being conserved in place, then I think that it's on us to make an argument to the select board that this is the expert opinion, and as much as it might not make sense immediately, like, we need to look for a long-term solution for an historic resource.
I can check in with the UMass folks. There is a program in historic preservation, and I know somebody in that program, so
Oh, good.
I will check in with them.
It's closer than Boston.
Henry, if you want to put them in touch with me, if you get somebody, that'd be
Okay,
great.
I will do.
All right. So yeah, I think that, it's our job to help advise the select board. And, it is true that in the field of historic preservation, sometimes people create replicas of historic structures. Case in point is looking at the Hearst House that was restored. And, there were some original timbers that were preserved, but it's largely a new structure. There's a lot of it is replica at this point. And that's a good example where, we wanted to have something visibly in place that was historically accurate in its appearance, but the original structure needed substantial replacement. I think that might be a good analogy for people to relate to.
It's also worth articulating to the select board and I guess just the public in general that, while replicas and moving historic resources, well, those things are generally frowned upon unless absolutely needed. It's a lot more common than I think a lot of people realize, both in the world of historic resources and in the world of art and art preservation, that it is actually fairly commonplace as a way of ensuring that the original artifact survives.
Yes.
So again, like Miriam was saying, and as Henry said, like if this is if it seems to be the consensus viewpoint of the experts, then I think that we should be making an emphatic argument for it. And again, the CPC funding, can be secured, maybe not this year, but in the coming year to move this project forward and keep that
Right,
thing.
to move it. And, there's kind of like two different issues. One is preserving a historic structure. And then the other is maintaining a certain appearance on town common. And those may be two different things that we may, in order to protect the structure, it may have to be somewhere else. And if,
Bert,
protecting this structure. Do we have a clear idea from how, if you put it inside somewhere to protect it, is it going to, how long is it gonna last? What is, is it gonna keep deteriorating and eventually?
I was thinking about it.
well, that's what they said last time when we met with them, Bert, was that if it's taken out of the elements, it should not deteriorate.
Yeah, they basically said once it was protected, it should survive indefinitely. But if it remains out there, then it's going to be subjected to so much restoration work over time that eventually the original structure is not going to be the original structure anyway.
And it may be already at the point where you can't even do that. And the other thing that is a concern is if we wait too long with any of this and it falls apart, they never be able to create an accurate replica because, it's fallen apart. So, we want to make sure at the very least that it's documented for the future. And if it can be preserved, it'd be great.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding if it has changed over time anyway. We don't have the original because it has undergone changes. Then what's the difference with just restoring it one more time? And what is it that is so fragile? Is it the wood itself is going to fall apart?
So the wood is very, very fragile. And there's rot under the paint. And the paint is no longer adhering to the wood, Bert. So in order to protect the wood from further rot, you have to remove all the paint and sand off all the damaged wood. So you get down to some dry, non-rotted wood where there's no mold, and then repaint it. And the structure is very fragile. It's been painted and scraped and patched many, many, many times. And they don't think they were saying they're concerned that it won't survive that effort. And if you just slap more paint on, you're just sealing in rot. If there's mold and rotting wood, painting over it and sealing it in, it's just going to accelerate. I mean, I've done some exterior painting, so I had this experience. You got to really get down to code.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think it would be, maybe this has been done, but it would be important to understand because I know since I've lived here in 1973, it's been restored multiple times. And it would be important to, I know Jim Aaron did it once, I know Bob Groves, they might tell us that those boards were replaced already. I still maintain I'm kind of on the same wavelength of what Bert just said, that it may already have been rebuilt just by being patched. It would be important before we try to preserve it to make sure that it really is original wood boards, or if they all have been replaced before. I remember I was very carefully saving some wrought iron from the town pound a number of years ago in the town hall, and Jim Aaron came in and he said, "Oh, I replaced that back in," I forget when he said, but the point that I'm making is that we don't know what we're trying to preserve yet, if it's really original. I am
It's hard to know. It's hard to know without doing that kind of paint analysis, Leslie, because We only know what there's kind of in recent memory. People know. I've talked with Bob Groves about what work he did. I haven't talked with Jim Arend. Bob in like 2009 replaced the baseboards of it. So the foundation of it is all less than 15 years old.
Right,
And he replaced the whole top of it.
yes,
So the linear boards, those vertical boards that the place names are painted on, those are very old. Are they original? I don't know, but they're at least more than 50 years old. So they're an antique. So, you know, without doing a paint analysis and doing dating of the wood, we aren't going to find this out. But we do know that the top and the bottom are replicas. And that the painting of the letters, people have been re-lettering over existing lettering. So there, and some of those lettering has morphed over the years based on the skill of the painter. So the decorative painter. So even that's not exactly original.
Quick question to Miriam. Did Peter or Mary Lou have a chance to actually evaluate any of these details?
What do you mean by evaluate? They looked,
As in
they went out and
paint.
looked at it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
Peter's visited it a few times. Mary Lou came out once, a couple weeks ago, apparently, with Peter.
but it wasn't a thorough assessment of the.
Well, they would need to bring it off-site into a
There
work.
you go. Okay. But that was their.
But I agree. You know, what is this idea of being kind of really wedded to wanting to hang on to some authentic wood doesn't mean as much to me as the spirit of the object and what it represents on our town common as an educational tool and as a memorial. That feels the most important to me. So the idea of preserving some wood that might be antique is not as important to me as preserving the essence of the structure and what it means symbolically.
I would also add, and I absolutely agree with Leslie that you know, this is why the kind of the paint test and the you know, the professional examination needs to be done, but also, you know, because it is highly likely that we won't be able to determine with great precision exactly which board is how old, the assumption should always be just sort of to default that it is all historically valuable and to preserve, you know, whatever we can of it as it is. But it's an interesting question, right? About how much of that is actually a replica now, and how much of it is original. And also, what do we mean by original? Do we mean from the moment it was built? What if it was repaired 10 years after it was built? That's still historic, right? 20 years after it's built, it's still historic. So
And we know the
Is the
shape,
cup
and we know the
empty?
shape is, we know the shape has changed because we have
Why
photographs.
don't we
from-
use a spoon and get some ice cream?
That's good. I like that idea. I want some. What I was gonna say, we know that the roof structure has changed and we, you know, there's photographs from like the early 19th century showing that there was no cupola and a relatively flat roof. That changed. There's a photograph in the 60s.
Be a spoon.
cupola, and I don't know when that was added. We don't know, do we, Leslie? We don't have any.
no.
There's like a gap of about 40 years where we don't have any photos, so we don't know.
right. And and the question is like, where do we draw the line between what we consider contemporary to us and thus a replica, and historic and thus worthy of historic preservation, right? And I am asking this question in all honesty. I don't know what the Historic Preservation Committee community considers sort of you know, the professional opinion of being the dividing line between the current and the past.
What Peter said, that the dividing line is often around 50 years. That if something has had a certain appearance for at least 50 years, the goal is to at least preserve that look. Unless you want to go back and try to recreate something, like if we had an image from 1901 and we really wanted it to look like exactly the way it looked in 1901, we could do that, because we do have photographs from the early 19th century, maybe not 1901, but in that first 20 years of the 20th century. But people probably wouldn't like that because it would look very different from how it looks right now. And they would probably say, oh, you did a terrible job. And
Right. And that raises like, I think we've discussed this before, right? The related question of if we go the route of, or if we convince the select board to go the route of putting a replica up and preserving this in a safe location, what does that replica then look like? Because if it looks like something that is historically as far back as we can document, but not like what it is now, are the people of the town going to rise up with pitchforks and shovels and torches?
Well, my sense is that more than likely, we should be looking at it as it is today, and in practical terms, address this as soon as possible so it doesn't deteriorate any more than it has to. I mean, now that's the practical issue, right?
we
But-
could say to the town, we're worried about this structure. We want to figure this out and ask the town to move it to a different location. I mean, they could move it to the highway department garage. I don't know if they could do that without it being destroyed, but you know, we could say to the town, we think it needs to be put in a sheltered location until we can work this out. If we,
Well,
especially if we're thinking that, you know, we might have to wait a year or two. If it turns out that want to do a replica and we get the town to agree to that, again, that could happen this year. Because we wouldn't be dependent on the CPC. We could go forward with other funding. We have about $17,000
What
in our donation account.
might it cost to do a replica, do you suppose?
Well, he's going to give us a quote. I
Okay.
don't,
That Peter, right?
Oh,
but,
that'd be-
right, but let's say he says it's comparable, so it's going to be in the
Well, true.
$15,000 range. And, you know, the historical commission wanted to, you know, contribute, and maybe there would be some other sources of funding. Maybe there'd be folks from the community that would really want to contribute to this.
Because there was the sentiment on the select board was that well, at least a couple of folks were not interested in a replica. But maybe we'd have to convince them of that. That's
I don't
where,
think they understood. I don't think we
Yeah.
really, I listened to the recording. I just don't think that they were given enough information. I think that was just kind of the problem is, you know, the select board's very busy and, you know, we'll get 10 minutes on their agenda. Maybe we get 15 minutes. So I think we need to come in really prepared with information and documentation that we give them ahead of time so they have time to digest it.
Want some more?
And post the meeting so we can all be there as an open meeting and, you know, then have that discussion.
Yeah, I think, well, we've learned new information tonight about the status of the guide board. And so, I mean, that will have to be part of the select board understanding as well, you know, what our options are, because leaving it in
Back
place
in
is die, you know, basically. So I think that will make a difference in terms of, you know, replica or not, and what our options should be.
I will reach out to Bob Groves again. I've been trying to reach him for a while. I've left him messages and he and I playing phone tag. You know, he did this restoration work the last time, and the problem is that I don't know, Bob fully understands the degree of deterioration that the structure is undergone, but I can ask him what he knows. When he did the restoration work, he should have been able to see what was how old the wood was underneath. So
And
Oh,
it is his field too. He is a professional in this kind of work.
right.
And if he knew, I don't know how, I don't know enough about purchasing, municipal purchasing, but if he knew the amounts of money being discussed, it might be something that he would do right in town.
Yeah, he had some interest in making a quote, but then he never really pursued it. You know, I asked him if he wanted to make a bid, and I can ask him again. If, you know, what the way he was sort of describing it though was of, you know, his approach would be doing very minimal repair work to the paint. And my concern about that is that there are open holes and rot that's visible from just looking at it. And we've had 2 or 3 people look at it saying it's in paint failure and needs, you know, maybe too far gone. And so I'm a little concerned that maybe he isn't grasping that. Because we've had, you know, I've had 2 or 3 other people say things very similar to what Peter Ham is saying.
Thank you.
But I will reach out to him again. Okay, should we move on?
Let's move on. The annual report is what's up next.
Yes.
Any feedback on that?
Thank you to Janice and Leslie for giving me some corrections. And
More like clarification.
well,
That's all.
yeah, well, that's a correction. Maybe I should pull it up if I can.
I think
find
all
it.
I offered was the photos of Janice and Karen. not
Yeah,
you.
I didn't know if they would really, I didn't know if they would print it with photos. Is that a thing?
They do sometimes, yeah.
It would be in black and white, so.
Sometimes they do. It depends on how much room they have on the page, how things are set up.
You want me to share that or you want
So
to?
Henry, I've got the more recent version of it. Give me
Okay,
a
okay.
I'm having trouble finding it. Just give me a sec, please.
Yeah,
And I was a little remiss in getting a letter to the cemetery commission that we had agreed on, but I did get it to them today.
Thank you.
Sorry, it took me so long. Because I think the deadline is like tomorrow, right?
I don't know.
Okay, Henry, can I do a screen
Yep.
share?
yep, you're on.
Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so this is where I added some content because the event at Quabbin Park is actually commemorating veterans, which Leslie and Janice clarified for me, so I added this text.
And do you have an extra W in Karen's last name there too? It was okay further up, but not one.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry about that, Karen.
the one at the top was fine.
Yes, it was. All right. Does that look okay to you guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Everything else is, I didn't change. There was a typo, I added this red letter and then there was another typo here.
Looks good. So should we move to approve this? Do we need to approve this by vote?
We do.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is this report? Who is this report reporting to? What is this for?
Annual town meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, every state in every town in city and town in Massachusetts has to create an annual report from all the departments every year. It is a copy is sent to the state library, and it presents a true history of our town. As town clerk, I used to refer to them all the time to check historical things for people. They're a great resource for history of our town, written one year at a time.
Thank you.
We're making history, folks.
They're available to the residents free of charge, and there are some sample ones from previous years on the bench in the top hallway at Town Hall. If anybody new wants to see what previous ones have been like.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move to approve the annual report. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second,
Janice seconds.
Okay, so go around the room, Defont,
Aye.
Fernandez. You're muted.
I didn't think I had a vote.
Well, I
Sure.
I assume you read, if you read it, I should be able to vote.
That was from back in June, wasn't it?
Oh, right, it's fiscal year. Well, I don't know.
When did you join?
Later than that.
Oh,
I think you can vote.
Okay, aye.
okay. Pangalo,
Similarly, I mean,
you're not,
I was not involved in any of these things, so I feel like I probably should recuse myself
okay.
or abstain.
Geddes, aye. Stone,
Aye.
okay. And should we have Karen vote on this?
Well, Karen hasn't seen it.
Hasn't seen it.
Oh. Okay.
We do have a
Well, I'll
quorum.
read it out loud, which would be painful.
No,
mm.
well, well,
Can I listen to the meeting?
are you okay, Karen? Sounds like you got
Yeah,
a little cough there.
yeah, I know. I got a very bad cough. It's
Yeah.
cracking my throat.
So we do have 4 people as a quorum here to vote on this. Or do we want to wait and get input from others, or?
Well, I don't think it's bad to have Karen vote on it. I don't know if she feels comfortable, but I don't know. It has to get in pretty soon, right? Or not?
Mhm.
Yes, it does.
My
We don't have a
opinion-
quorum otherwise, because we have me, Janice, Henry. And then I can read it out loud. Do you want me to read it out loud and then Karen can say that she reviewed it? Or I can do a shorthand. How's that sound?
How about a summary of each section?
Okay, that sounds great. Let me pull it up.
Gonna do it now.
Yep, I'm gonna do a I'm gonna power through it if I could find it. I think I closed it. 1 sec. Oh, man, this computer. Oh, my God, don't do that. You know,
And this is for January.
This is for the past year. What the historical commission did this past year from July 1 of 21 to June 30th of 22.
okay, now I found it. All right. So membership, this is again fiscal year, so this ended as of June 30th. We had some membership changes. Azelle Florinina and Mary Lou Conca stepped down. And so Leslie Bracebridge was appointed as an associate commissioner in this year. We thank Leslie for her many years of service. We met 13 times last year, so we were pretty busy. The Quabbin Memorial Park Cemetery celebration, Karen and Leslie and Janice participated in it, and as a result of that, for last fiscal year, we received a donation of $1,266. Last year, we reviewed the AMP solar projects and were notified by Mass Historical by the applicant, and we produced 5 project reports, which are on our website. We developed the CPC proposal for the guide board in fiscal year 22, and it was approved at the annual town meeting. And then in fiscal year 22, we applied for a SHRAB grant in order to gets archival quality storage materials for our collection at Old Town Hall. And we received that small grant and purchased about $500 worth of materials. We have an outstanding grant that has not been completed for repainting the World War II Memorial on Town Common that was funded in fiscal year 20. So that's sort of still hanging out there. And then, you know, we really have been talking about just future projects. That was about it.
The broadboard, the,
That's in there.
yeah,
So Karen, does that help?
yes, thank you. And I'll, if you want my vote, I say aye too.
Great,
Well,
right?
thanks. So,
Thank you.
motion
Thank you.
passes.
So what was I going to say? Before we adjourn tonight, I think we should talk about how to support Karen getting documents. Because we really want to make sure Karen has everything she needs to be able to participate. And we also need Karen as a voting quorum member. And if she hasn't read the documents, then we can't get things approved or like minutes. So
They get cut off?
no, I'm here. So I'm really kind of like to ask the commission and Karen for us all to brainstorm about how this could be more, how we could help.
Can you get things mailed to her? Or do you have to do it like a week in advance or something?
I could.
Or I could pick it up sometime, I should think. I hope. Although I'm not driving too much right now. I had a spill down the stairway about
Nobody's-
6 weeks ago.
Nobody's driving these days.
That's terrible. We can try my mailing it. The problem is I don't get up to town hall often enough to be able to guarantee that I could get it up to town hall. Sometimes I feel like I need to stay away from town hall.
Well, I don't get to the town hall very often either.
So, anyway, so if other, and I've said this before, I want to support Karen getting these documents, but I'm doing a lot of other things and I just really kind of need some other commissioner. If somebody wants to get documents to her, I can't do that. I need somebody else to agree to vote.
Well,
that.
I mean, I could mail them or on occasion drive them over there.
Would you be willing to, because if I distribute them to the commission, then you can mail them.
Yep. I'll just get Karen's contact there, your address, and should be simple enough.
Karen, what's your street address? It's
My, my P.O. box is in the mailbox, but they won't deliver it if you don't put my P.O. box on it. 'Cause
what is your mailing address, Karen?
my mailing address is P.O. Box 135,
Okay.
Shutesbury, Mass. 01072.
Okay.
Karen, how do you get your mail? Do you have to go to the post office to get it?
Yes.
So couldn't you stop in at the town hall and pick it up if it were in the historical commission mailbox?
I don't always get to the mailbox but once a week and at different times. But
Right.
I suppose I could call and make sure it's open and
Yeah, the
And,
problem is one of us has to then go over to,
I got it.
I've gone over this with Grace. She's not willing to print them out for us. I asked Grace at one point if I emailed Grace things, could she print them out and leave them out for Karen? That wasn't gonna work. So, you know, and I just don't get up there. So either Henry, if you're willing to mail them, that'd be great.
So your address again, Karen, just quickly? PO Box
P.O.
130.
Box. Yeah, P.O. Box 135.
Yep.
And what is your street address if Henry drops it off?
40 Carver Road West.
Yeah,
Carver Road is off of Montague Road.
yeah,
What
yeah.
number on Carver Road? Is there a number on Carver Road, Karen?
40.
Or,
40.
Okay, good,
Okay.
thanks.
The Carver Road is where the sign it says seminar.
Yep, yep. I remember. I have a memory of the place.
so Henry,
And
do
I
you want
have-
the minutes for the last two meetings for the May 25th and August, and
Yep,
I guess we approved the November ones, right?
I think so.
So the ones that we did not approve are the May 25th and the August 10th ones. And I think Karen was at those meetings. So
yep.
if you can get those to her, then the next time, and then if we can get Greg at a meeting, we could approve those other minutes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, any new business, anything that anybody?
I wouldn't mind having Miriam's phone number.
Sure, got a pen?
Yep, now I have. Yep,
413-374-15.
374 374
1568.
1568. Okay, and I'll try to get in the book before I misplace it again. Okay, and I hope your husband's okay.
Yeah, he's all right. We're all surviving.
Yeah. My sister has cancer too now.
Oh, no.
Mm.
Oh, man.
She's the youngest in the family, so it's a worry.
Oh, yeah.
And Bert, you were not in Massachusetts.
I'm not in
No,
Massachusetts.
Bert, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I am in Puerto Rico until
I
April.
can tell by the window there. That's not a Massachusetts type.
No,
Lucky you.
I know, the weather must be
Yeah.
nice.
yeah, I don't envy you.
I went skiing tonight. That's the difference.
You mean sliding?
Went skiing today.
Oh, you did?
I went skiing down to my mailbox to get the mail.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everybody.
All right,
Thank you.
let's
we
vote
need a
to,
motion to adjourn, and it is
motion to-
8:14.
okay. I'll
Uh,
second.
When's the next date?
Wait, who made the motion to adjourn? And we don't have a meeting we don't have a date for the next meeting. We need to figure that out before we adjourn.
All right, why don't we talk about that then? Today's the 25th, a month from now, 25th of, what is that?
But Wednesday, the 22nd.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
work?
February?
Yes.
February 22nd, that works for me.
Works for me.
Okay. Janice says yes. So 8. Great. All right. Somebody want to make a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second. I'll say aye.
Aye.
I
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
Thank
Means
you all.
different things in different cultures. All right, well, take care, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Wish everybody well. Keep
Yes,
care.
let's
Bye-bye.
let's get through the night.
Take care. Drive safely.
All right.
Bye.
Bert,
Hey,
no te vayas.
we have electricity now, huh?
Estás, ¿hasta cuándo vas a estar por allá?
Hasta abril.
Ah, qué
¿Tú,
bien.
tú estás en Houston todavía?
No, estoy en Shutesbury,
Ah,
claro. Estuve
yeah.
como 5 semanas ahí en Shutesbury.
Tú dices en Houston.
En Houston, ¿qué dije en Shutesbury? En Houston. Sí, carajo, bueno.
Es tu mamá, ¿no? Que estabas con tu mamá.
Sí, estuve con ella justamente, sí.
¿Y está bien?
Ella está bien, pero se inundó de agua su condominio. Y ha sido una pesadilla, pues.
Ya
Vamos a-
está en el primer piso y que fue que hubo una inundación.
Se vino de arriba.
Ah, de arriba.
Ah,
Son
Un,
pro-
un imbécil dejó algo prendido y
Ese es el problema con tener vecinos arriba.
se condominio.
Eso le pasó a la oficina de médicos en Hadley. El médico de Elizabeth.
Así.
Se le dañó la oficina completa.
Ya.
No, aquí he estado, la estamos pasando bien, pero también hoy estuve el día completo en San Juan, como a 2 horas de aquí,
Ajá.
ya,
No,
llevando a mi hermano a una cita médica.
Ah.
Citas médicas aquí son una pesadilla. Tienes que ir preparado para estar todo el día.
¿Y en qué parte estás?
Estoy en el oeste.
Ah,
¿Conoces la geografía de la isla?
más o menos.
Sí. San Juan está en el noreste. San Germán está en el sureste.
Mm,
Este era uno de los... Al principio solo había dos, que llamaban partidos, dos pueblos. Y este era uno de ellos.
mm.
Y luego se dividió y ahora son 76, 28.
Y tu
Pero
familia es de ahí, pues.
mi familia en realidad no es de aquí, pero yo viví aquí de los 12 años a los 20 y me considero de aquí.
Ah,
Y mi familia principalmente se considera aquí, por lo menos todos mis hermanos y hermanas.
qué bien, qué bien.
¿Y estás tocando música?
No tanto, he estado en otras cosas y ahorita el clima ha nevado ahora va a nevar, va a caer hielo.
Sí.
Estamos esperando
¿Va a
que
esperar hielo esta noche?
esta noche.
Estaba hablando con Remy. Remy se está quedando en la casa de nosotros.
Sí,
Y estuvo sin electricidad desde ayer por la mañana.
sí,
Y, bueno, escuché que se cayeron un montón de ramas y
sí,
las carreteras
sí,
estaban bloqueadas.
bastante, sí. Sí, fui a esquiar. ¿Tú esquías? No.
Mm,
Cross country, no.
lo he hecho antes, pero no mucho.
Ya. Es difícil, está difícil porque los árboles, pues las ramas están por todas partes. No hay cómo meterse. Pero sí, a mí me encanta el esquí, carajo. Y ahora ya pues ya no se puede hacer.
¿No?
Ya no,
Por,
pues
por, por las ramas o por los dolores.
no, el clima varía mucho.
Ah, sí, sí.
Mañana, o sea, esta noche va a subir a 40.
Ah,
Iba a llover, así que yo fui a esquiar ahora, pues me fui como 2 horas ahí a esquiar para aprovechar porque estaba perfecta las condiciones. Eh,
un buen ejercicio.
Sí, es tremendo, tremendo. ¿Te enteraste del el voto, el town meeting?
Sí, sí, me enteré.
Ah, bueno, ahí creo que estuvo Remy, ¿o no?
Yo sé que Elizabeth, bueno, no estoy seguro si él estuvo.
Bueno, ahí vi gente, ahí estaba Carlos, habían varios.
Sí,
Sí,
y nosotros desde acá no podíamos votar.
ya.
No se podía votar,
No, no se puede.
había que estar en persona.
No, me llamó la atención. Eran como 300, 400 personas. Estaba lleno el auditorio.
¡Wow!
Sí, y votaron todos uniformemente a favor.
¿Y qué pasó la última vez?
No, es que, digamos, ¿no? La gente mucho más informada y claro, las modificaciones que se hicieron son cosas de que, bueno, ahora es sumamente difícil que alguien ponga un solar farm,
Sí,
¿no? Lo han cambiado, pero es un reto.
pero escuché que la doña tiene una nueva táctica.
Así,
La, la,
qué
se- la,
cosa.
la señora, la señora, ¿ah?
Cojones.
Esa misma, la, la de Coles, que está tratando de conseguir de alguna manera que quede su propiedad de grandfather
Mm,
para no tener que acogerse a estas leyes nuevas de haciéndolo, creando una subdivisión o algo que después
sí.
puede convertir en,
Bueno, eso intentaron hacer hace como un año o más. Yo presencié eso, porque en esa instancia justamente se estaba elaborando la primera versión del Solar Bylaw.
Ujú.
Entonces ahí ellos como que querían entrar, ¿no? Antes y fue un fracaso total. No sé cómo lo harían ahora, no sé,
Bueno,
pero
su táctica es no presentar para un solar, pero presentar, creo que es para hacer una subdivisión de algún
sí,
tipo, no específica. No
ya,
sé cómo eso funciona, pero yo sé que a Elizabeth la contactaron para movilizarse y
así,
tratar de evitar.
así, y
Sí.
quién está moviendo eso?
Habla con Carlos, él sabe.
Carlos,
Carlos Fonte,
sí, sí, tendría que hablar con él, hermano.
sí, él sabe. Oye, Henry, yo no sé qué más yo debo estar haciendo aquí en esta comisión.
No, digamos, hay meeting una vez al mes, ¿no?
Yo
Entonces,
sé, pero como que
ah,
eh, no, no me siento como que estoy participando muy
no,
activamente. ¿Debería estar haciendo otras cosas o no hay?
no, mira, es que ahorita los proyectos como que ya están un poco ya plasmados, ¿no?
Ujú,
O sea, el guide board Miriam. Antes fue Janice que había iniciado eso, pero como que no, no sé qué le pasó. Y eh, pero la cuestión de los indígenas todavía está pendiente, posiblemente va a haber actividad sobre eso. Si la tipa se manda, va a haber actividad, ¿no? Vamos a tener que, eh, bueno, en fin, no sé cómo sería para los subdivisions, ¿no?
sí. Yo
Pero
lo entiendo como eh, si las únicas personas que tienen licencia para determinar si un sitio es eh, Native American o indígena, eh, son personas que están certificados que son indígenas propios,
Sí.
pero que no tienen en realidad no tienen un poder para decir sí o no, ¿no?
Bueno, no es tan, no es tan simple la cuestión porque la cosa es que además de los indígenas, hay gente que está trabajando, ¿no? Detrás, ¿no? Hay gente, es un tema largo. Hay gente que ha documentado y ha trabajado con los indígenas mismas. Y la documentación es, digamos, una tecnología de láser, no sé, una cosa que ven lo que está pasando bajo la superficie.
Evidencia científica, entonces.
Eco, o sea, es cosa seria, ¿no?
Ujú.
Entonces, hay puntos de presión. O sea, no es solo cuestión de que diga la persona indígena, bueno, esto me parece, sino que ahora, además de eso, ¿no? Se puede corroborar, ¿no? Hay evidencia.
Ok.
Y eso es lo que tiene miedo la vieja esta, ¿no? La de Coles.
Ujú.
Nosotros nos reunimos con ella. Ella inició una reunión con nosotros. No estabas tú. Hace un par de años.
Con la Comisión Histórica.
Sí, imagínate. Así de la nada. Ella quería hablar con nosotros.
Ujú.
Pero lo curioso es que se inició el meeting y ella con el documento, así, que lo había leído.
El documento que escribieron ustedes.
Sí, obviamente muy interesada, ¿no?
Interesada en lo suyo.
En lo suyo y las consecuencias del documento, ¿no? Y
Ujú.
dijo, very, very well done.
Ajá.
Not.
No, no era, sí, no era esa su intención.
Sí, no, no, ella le tiene mucho, o sea, ahora se da cuenta que no solo son unos indios que se van a quejar, que ya hay documentación no sé si tú conoces a una que se llama Eva Givavic.
Sí,
Givavic.
bueno, sé quién es, pero no la conozco personalmente.
Sí, ella es de Leverett.
Ujú.
Ella está en el Historical Commission de Leverett. Y ella es la persona, ella tiene una empresa realmente, ¿no? Que hace ese tipo de consultoría, ¿no?
Cuando nosotros estuvimos una vez hablando con Harris, señor de
Doug
apellido Harris,
Harris. Ella trabaja con
indígena.
Doug.
Así que él nos dijo que cualquier cosa deberíamos consultar con ella porque ella tiene
Sí,
los conocimientos.
claro, claro. Entonces, lo interesante es que ella fue, digamos, ella facilitó un poco la reunión con la de Coles,
Ajá,
porque la conoce.
sí.
Eh, no fue directamente que nos contactó, sino fue algo que iba más o menos propuso, no sé. Eh, y pero eso sí, no sé cómo será, pues, si va a ser subdivisions. Aún así, va a haber este tema ¿no? de indígenas, ¿no?
Ujú.
Pienso, no sé, la verdad.
Pero habla con Carlos, él te puede documentar porque yo no estoy seguro de los detalles.
Sí, sí. No, yo te digo que hace un par de años ellos quisieron hacer eso justamente, con el miedo de que el bailo les iba a poner trabas, querían de una vez grandfather, y no sé qué, y además subdivision, eso querían. En esa instancia fueron fallas técnicas. Bueno, ¿no? De zoning y no sé qué, y errores, ¿no? Múltiples. Y el tiempo se le venció, o sea, no tuvieron tiempo para recuperar
Ujú.
la posición. O sea que es posible, ¿no? Que ahora se han armado bien.
Se han aprendido de sus errores.
Claro, claro. Sí,
Hay que ver por dónde viene.
sí.
Bueno, Henry,
Bueno, hombre,
pues espero que puedas esquiar más.
sí, hombre, a ver si a la vuelta nos juntamos, pues.
¿Seguro?
Sí,
Sí, sí, estaría chévere.
ahí está.
Sí,
Ok, mano. Chao, chao,
cuídate.
chao.